What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist, part of OneMindSyndicate, and today we're back to talk about Warhammer 40k. So lately we've been talking about Khorne and just how much he has a grip on the galaxy. Any act of violence empowers him, and in a galaxy where there is always war, he seems to be the chaos god that's always on top. Even so much so that you could say even creatures that are not really pertaining to the warp or even have much of a psychic signature, they still get influenced by Khorne. One of those said creatures is that of the Tau. Yes, even the Tau Empire can fall to the might of Khorne. So here we have a small excerpt from the Chaos Space Marine Codex that talks about Khorne influencing these minor alien races. So without further ado, let's jump in. The famously ferocious Tau fire warriors of Vior-La faced an incursion of world eaters. The Chaos Space Marines are so thoroughly lost to the worship of Khorne that their ranks contain just as many spawn as they do berserkers. The Tau's impeccable fire discipline sees the world eater warbands kept at arm's length. That is, until the infectious rage of the Khorne devotees begins to catch in the souls of the Vior-La's foremost cadre. The Tau, voices raised in primitive Fiar-tuned war cries that have not been heard for centuries, begin to engage the Chaos Spawn at close range, and even charge to engage them in close combat. It does not end well for the Tau. Millions die before a council of 6 ethereals are scrambled to the site to lend their calming influence to the Tau caste, restoring order and allowing the Tau to withdraw into low orbit before the World Eaters can complete their slaughter. So here we see 3 really cool, interesting points. First and foremost, that these Khorne berserkers are just succumbing to Khorne's influence so much so that they're getting so many blessings that eventually they just devolve, if you want to call it that, into Chaos Spawn. Spawndom is not good. You basically lose yourself to the gifts of chaos and just become an incoherent, I guess in this case, ball of just fury. Another cool thing is that these Tau, they're falling to the chaos influence of Khorne here, and they're going into close combat, forgoing any and all tactics, and it takes the ethereals to lend their calming influence. For the longest time, we've speculated what exactly the ethereal caste has that allows them to be in control of the Tau. This can be seen when Farsight is basically broken out of their control, and he sees the galaxy for what it really is, instead of the whole greater good ideology that these ethereal castes are preaching to the Tau. So, really cool little small blurb that we get to experience here. A lot of insight that could happen from here, but there's another excerpt that I do want to talk about, and that is called Blood Oath in this book, where we have Shadow Sun almost succumbing to the call of Khorne. So let's go ahead and dive in. The yield capacitators of Shadow Sun's fusion blasters blipped gold. She dropped down from the flickering skies towards the column of boxy Imperial vehicles and triggered another full shot. Twin beams of destructive energy spearing vertically downwards. She hit one of the lumpen things on full, an olive-hued tank that was little more than a mobile box filled with Gwaylaw troopers. The transport exploded with a satisfying thump, and its passengers spilled out, grabbing for rebreathers or rolling into the fires that clung onto their disgusting porcelain flesh. Yelling in defiance, the gunners in the capitulas and other transports pivoted their pinto-mounted weapons towards the source of the killing shot. Shadow Sun swung her hips back and her chest forward, her battlesuit smoothly boosting away from the chattering streams of slugs sent in her direction. Even a raw recruit could have avoided the ill-timed volley fired by these human soldiers, and her stealth cells made her all but invisible against the flickering clouds above. Such poor warriors didn't deserve to face the might of the XV-104. As if to prove her point, Dry's team came alongside her, leveled their burst cannons, and tore apart the couple of gunners in a storm of blood and plasma. This really is too easy, thought Shadow Sun. There was little honor in shooting a fleeing foe. especially one as dull of wit as the Imperial Guard. Even their name was ridiculous. She was almost regretting ordering the Riptides to engage them instead of tackling them herself. Still, she reminded herself that Aunval had other duties in mind for her. Kill them all, bathe in blood, the voice pounded in her head. Shadowsun felt a hot prickle of unease cross her skin. She could have sworn she had turned the autotrans off when she was mustering the cadres in cloud cover to prevent unnecessary distractions. Counter-strike, she transmitted, her tones clipped and sure. Neutralize the enemy, as many of these transports as possible. I want that wall breached immediately. Riptides at the fore. Full Nova, then Sentinel protocols. Use your drone net to get high-yield footage. Sky Strike, your Riptides have the honor of being first inside. Prepare a path for us. The asset symbols of the Riptide wings flash gold, their size and unfamiliarity filling Shadowsun with quiet pride. To have such warriors at her command, to be the first in the Empire to wield them as her blade, it was an honor beyond measure. Yes, kill, send them to their graves, the voice came again. Ahead of her Riptides, she had claimed for her first strike cadre dropped out of the clouds above the hive wall. Their Nova reactors thrummed to a crescendo as they hovered to a halt in front of the gate's towers. Suddenly, blue-white spheres shot from their energy cannons, hitting home with such force they chewed a wide breach in the eagle-emblazoned gate. The walls around the opening were riven by a web of cracks, tumbling rubble carrying those Imperial Guardsmen that had been meaning to be the gate's battlements to a rocky demise. The XV-104s had blasted open the human fortress in a single devastating salvo. Behind the breach, the high-sprawling innards were laid bare. An iron-grated perimeter road met a cliff wall of pipes and platforms across which hundreds of ant-like citizens scurried. Desperate to escape, the Imperial Guard troops pushed their way through the teeming hivers to take up positions on landing pads and defense stations. Shadowsun flew in close to the hive's outer wall, blasting the face from a statue of an Imperial saint as she passed by. The paired Riptides that had ripped open the city's wall bracketed her like armored giants, escorting an airborne goddess. Behind her, the 3 surviving Riptides that had mauled the Guayran Shah's tanks hovered towards the breach at speed, boosting over the postern gate on contrails of blue flame. They unleashed a hail of heavy burst cannon fire. So many corpses. The Autotrans scrolled, its whisper waveform jerking peaks and trowels. And there you have it, guys. So here, it's not exactly Shadowsun hearing this voice in her head. It's more of like the machine spirit transmitting these phrases of death and destruction. So is it actually Khorne speaking through the machine, or is it Vastor, or perhaps it could be some type of chaos virus? It could be a lot of things, but first and foremost, she's not really falling for this. She kind of hears it and she thinks to herself like, nah, this isn't right, like there's something going on here. It's not like she's saying, yes, I'm going to listen to this voice. I'm going to forgo my tactics. No, she's still tactically sound. She's making all the right decisions. She's just a little intrigued by what's making this happen. So this actually happens one more time in the Farsight. Portion of the Arcs of Omen. Farsight gets this voice in his head to kill, maim, burn, spread blood, death, and destruction while he's fighting against the Greenskins, I believe. And his warriors do succumb to a frenzy, but they manage to snap out of it thanks to the talisman of Arthas Malak, I believe. So we see Khorne constantly being a real threat to the Tau, more so than any other Chaos God, except maybe Zeech, because we have the whole Startide Nexus that perhaps it was Zeech that was playing with their kind of perception of who is friend and foe, because the Tau that came out of the Startide Nexus basically massacred all the auxiliaries. the Vespids, the Kroot, and they were basically saying that these were demons. So perhaps Tzeentch was playing tricks on them. And yeah, so whatever it is, the Chaos Gods do have some interest in the Tau, even though they have a very minuscule amount of presence in the warp. Let me know your thoughts about this. Would you like a Chaos faction of the Tau to maybe make its way into Kill Team or something like that? Because I don't see the Tau going full on Chaos and having a playable faction in 40k. A Kill Team could be the best option I could think of. But let me know your thoughts down below. And with that being said, that's all I got for today. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share this video with all your friends, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next one. This has been the Sound Alchemist, part of OneMindSyndicate, and I'll catch you guys then. Peace.